Hey, everybody, and welcome to Family Values at Work monthly live. This month, we are focusing on mom life. It is Mother's Day. I'm Erica Clemens Dean. I'm the Program Network Director for Family Values at Work. Super excited for this conversation because I am a mom, and I think we don't have enough spaces as it is to have conversations with other moms to talk about this work and just how we're feeling in the movement. And I'm here with two totally dope organizers that I'm super excited to have this conversation with. Sharmili, who is with Women Employed, and Shanda, who is with 9 to 5 Georgia chapter. And I'm going to turn it over to them to kind of introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into some of this good old tea. And I'll kick it to you, Sharmili, first to introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks so much, Erica. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm Sharmili Majmadar, Executive Vice President of Policy and Organizational Impact at Women Employed. We do work in Chicago and Illinois and the nation on issues of economic and educational justice and equity for working women. Um, I've been here for 5 years, and I have an 11-year-old, 11 going on 40. Uh, he is definitely a tween. And I feel like Mother's Day is like more of a holiday for him than it is for me. Let's be honest. He's so excited about it. I'm married and to a woman as well, and so he has like a double Mother's Day, which is a little rough on the kiddo. But I'm excited to chat. Like you said, Erica, we don't get a lot of spaces like this, and looking forward to our time together.
Awesome. Thank you. My heart broke a little bit for you when you said 11-year-old going on 40. Mine just turned 14 last week, and I know she needs to apply for art. She's definitely up in that, hitting that senior age in the things that I'm going through. So I feel for you. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Shanda, to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Erica, for the invite. And yes, we do not get enough spaces for mom to talk about all of their issues, especially for those who are in the movement. So, yes, so I am Shanda. I am the Georgia Associate State Director for the 9 to 5 Georgia chapter, where we focus on women and working families. So, issues such as paid leave, pay equity, those things that really impact women and their families in Georgia, and then also across the state, because we are a national organization with local chapters. Yeah, so definitely understand all of like the teenagers who feel like they're like 50 years old. They don't know, but no, sometimes I feel like, they don't know if they want to be 2 or 22. So I'm like, you got to pick one. I can't deal with all of these emotions. So I totally get all of that. Yes. So a little bit about me. So I've been at 9 to 5 for about 5 years, and proud graduate of HBCU. Shout out to all those. Yes, but definitely I was excuse me, I've started as a parent. I was a young mother. But with the support of my family, I was still able to fulfill my dreams, going to college, pursuing a career, because I really had that support. And sometimes I know that those who have been in a similar experience that I have of being a teenage mom, that they don't get those opportunities. So I really am thankful for having that support system that allowed me to do that, because a lot of people do not have that. I know people firsthand who were like, kudos to your mom and just holding down the fort to be allow you to have that opportunity. So I am definitely grateful for that, and especially with Mom's Day coming up, definitely appreciative of my mother and all those other mothers. Whether you birth a child, whether you adopt, whether you're a surrogate mother, however you show up in mom life, we're all mothers. And even if you're a mother in the movement, right? We all have some motherhood in us that we provide guidance, mentorship, and so yes, I've definitely enjoyed just seeing her grow into the young adult that she is becoming, going to college, even in this kind of turbulent time, being a young woman of color, pursuing a degree in nursing, and really understanding what the challenges and barriers that really she is up against in society. So just really, even though I'm fearful, still trying to like be a champion, support her and just be her biggest fan without her realizing like a lot of my internal fears that I carry with on a daily basis. So that's just a little bit about me. And I'll toss it back over to you, Erica.
Thank you so much. You said a lot, right? Like when we think about the support that we had growing up, or not growing up, but we had coming along when we first had our kids, and just thinking about how the inflation of childcare has gotten ridiculous, and having those, that village to help us support. I know my mother was a huge, huge, huge help when it came to watching Paige as a child. I didn't have to worry about, the childcare issues that's happening right now. And it's I'm thankful for it, but I'm also like very sympathetic to folks that it's a lot. It's a lot. And if we don't have, good childcare policies for our states, like our folks are just going to get more and more behind, more and more just like agitated with the whole situation. So we definitely need to build that village. In our communities, our kids have a lot of aunties. I'm going away from the aunties. She's got a lot of mothers. I need for them to be mothers. Like, come on in. No more aunties.
The water's fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely who we're relying on. Like he's got a crew of folks. He's like, it's Mother's Day. I can't talk to either of my moms about it. I need someone else to help me. I'm like, you've got all sorts of grown-ups around you who are happy to support. I absolutely hear you on the childcare piece. I remember when we paid the last daycare bill because our kiddo was going to be going into school, and how much of a relief it was to pay that. And then, you had after school fees. And I know that I've been in a position that's been pretty privileged as far as that goes. And so knowing things like, we talk about workplace flexibility and we talk about people being able to work different hours and all of those things. But, childcare is shut down. So many childcare is shut down, but also they're still often operating on this like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. schedule. And that's not when work is happening. For so many people, that is not when work is happening. And it doesn't line up. And so there is that village that you're kind of relying on. And then there's you're 1 minute late to picking your kid up and you're paying, $20 or more. In some cases, the costs are so varied and layered with childcare. And then you see that people who are providing childcare, the care workers themselves, they're caring for the people who are most precious to us.
Yep.
And they're not getting paid in a livable way, and they're not getting the benefits that they should be getting for the work that they do. It's such a problematic system that we have right now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, and like we can definitely go deeper in a childcare conversation, right? Because like you said, the average worker is working 2 jobs.
Exactly.
So the gig economy is not stable whatsoever, but a lot of our moms and dads out there are heavily into the gig economy to help supplement some of the bills that's happening, and supplement some of that money that's going towards childcare, right? And you're right, it is 6 to 6 for childcare, but it's not taking into consideration Walmart workers or Amazon workers that have to be to work at 2 a.m. And, you're finding more and more parents leaving their kids at home because they can't afford the childcare. And I think, this pandemic, actually, they say 2020 was like the great resignation, right? Like, I think a lot of parents had to make the choice of, it's actually cheaper to stay home and not go to work, to go to work and have to pay for childcare in this moment. So we're seeing so many people come out of that space, which I'm excited about. I'm glad to see, folks really taking a stand and want to be a part of, these new policies or getting new policies in our states. But the title of this live is #MomLife, Things 21st Century Moms Can't Live Without. So just, thinking about that and thinking about like your own upbringing, what do you feel like think can remember is one thing that growing up you was like, my mom is doing this, mom, but you find yourself doing it now.
Um, I think for me, my mom is like a big nester. Like she, like if you need help, she will take you in. Like whether she has space or not, like she is just a nester. She's a hoverer, and I find myself like doing that to my child. And so it's like, and I never thought I would kind of be like that kind of in that kind of space, but definitely a hoverer that I didn't think would happen. And then also too, I think, those little colloquialisms that your parents had growing up that you'd be like, that doesn't even make sense. Who even made that statement up? Right. And I find myself saying some of those same things. And it's like, yeah, no, there needs to be a part two to some of those. But yeah, those are some of the things that I find myself like, dang it. Or just thinking, pondering on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think that I don't think I fully appreciated how much time, energy, intention, planning that my mother put into just creating the scaffolding for us, right? Like all of what we call homemaking. I mean, I was guilty as a kid too of not valuing that work. And then now I'm like, when you're leaving the dish in the sink instead of putting it in the dishwasher, I'm like, who are you leaving that for?
Right.
Like there is no magic fairy that's going to come over here and move that into the dishwasher. You left that there for me, and we need to address that. So I think that yeah, that's something I didn't expect that I would be doing, but here I am.
No, and I absolutely love that because you definitely don't give and counter like all the things that your mom actually does on a daily basis until, excuse me, allergies until like you're in that role and you're like, oh my gosh, you have to work, you have to cook, you have to clean, like you have to drop off kids here, pick up another set of kids. Like you never realize. And I feel like all growing up, my daughter always had sets of people that she came with. I always feel like I had two sets of girls. So like it was always like I'm toting. It's like, oh, can you take us here? Can you take us there? And I was an active child, especially like in high school. So I definitely get like all the times my mom fussed at me, like, I'm not taking you anywhere else. Like, you're not signing up for anything else. Like, that's just it. And then I found myself like doing that to my child, like, you're not doing anything else. You're not signing up. And if I spend my money, you're doing it all the way. Like, you're not quitting. Like, so you better make sure this is what you want to do.
Yeah, I think I just had that conversation this morning about a summer job. Like, you do it, we going all the way to the end of the summer. I know the one thing that really just like cracks me up now is, I don't know if y'all remember, like your parents used to always be like, "Who you talking to? Why are you talking to me in that tone?" And I always used to, when I was growing up, I'd be like, "This is my tone of voice. Like this, I'm not trying to get smart with you or none of that." But I often be like, "Who you talking to? Like I am not one of your friends. I need you to lower that tone." But it's so funny because I'm like, that's how I was when I was growing up too. And maybe it's in the genes. I don't know. But I'm like, dang, did I give my mom a hard time? Was that sarcastic? Like, yeah, that'd be what I'm thinking about now as a mom. Um, Thank y'all for that. We gonna get into some real juicy, just conversation of just being a mom of color, in today's society, in our work, the movement work that we do, like folks watching and everyone knows that this work, there's a lot of sacrifices that come with it, sacrifices around being traveling or being around with your missing out on a lot of things that's happening in your child's life. Tell me some of the things that affect you as a mom and in the work that we do, and then also like what are some not easily recognizable struggles of a mom, or for you being a mom.
I mean, I will say that being able to work remotely and work from home has been a double-edged sword. Like I think that has been amazing in some ways. Like I don't know how we would have navigated the last few years, and there are so many moms who have had to figure out how to navigate that because they don't have jobs where they can work remotely, or that hasn't been an option through their workplace. So, but recognizing that that line between work and home, which was already, I think, challenging to navigate, and especially when you're in this work and you're like, you know it, you feel it, it's just it's really, it's been a little bit challenging to draw that line, and to switch my brain, switch into mom brain, um, when I've needed to, and I've definitely struggled with that.
Yeah, and Erica, and I definitely feel you on that with the remote. It definitely is a double-edged sword because you definitely get to spend more time that you normally wouldn't, right? But I think for me, uh, life kind of looked a little different. But when I first, well, been in Georgia for about 5 years. So when I first moved to Georgia, my child was going from middle school to high school, which would have been a really huge transition. And we're from a small town, so everybody knows everybody from like kindergarten all the way to high school, and even after college. Like that's just how small it is. And so I think for me, is having to live in Georgia while my child lived in North Carolina was a really hard struggle, for me, just not being able to like have a lot of that in your face everyday time, but being able to have to like, every other weekend or major events, driving back and forth. So I think that was a huge challenge for me and her too. I think just from having such a major transition of being so up close on a day-to-day basis, then having like being states away. So I think that was really a huge adjustment. And I think that is something that a lot of movement moms do not. I think that's one of the hidden struggles, Erica, that you were saying, like, what are some things that are not easily recognizable? I think that is one of the things that I think women in the movement do not get a lot of credit for, or a lot of grace and understanding. Is like, we are caring and running and making way in for other people, but a lot of times our children do not get the attention that they need. We do not get to spend a lot of times with our partners, our husband, our spouses, our family. So I think, being in this work and dedicated to this work, you do lose a lot of that, like, precious moments that you would get, maybe if you were in a career that really, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like this really requires like your attention to travel. The headaches, the heartbreaks. Social justice is not an easy world to like fight in and be in. And so, being able to like not bring that home too, I think also is like another thing, is being able to like leave work at work, and when you come home, it's like, leaving that at the door. I think has not been something I've been working on. Right, it's like not continue to work when you get home, but just be, or even like just taking over work with your partner or things like that. But I think those are some things that I think are not recognized or understood, or even celebrated, or recognized, that a lot of women with children or caretaking period go through, who are in this line of work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you 1,000%. And share a little bit of some. So, like you, Shanda, when I started early on in union organizing, I was away for like 6 months to a year at a time on organizing campaigns. My daughter was very young, so spent most of her like toddler days up until probably first grade, every day with my mom, and then transitioning into a space. I think what COVID brought out to me is like, I honestly did not know how to be mom at home and, a social justice advocate in the streets and on digital. Like, that wasn't, it just never occurred to me, right? Like, because all of
Right,
our
there's no class.
organizing, yeah, there's no class, there's no TikTok for it. They don't have a TikTok channel for be at home with your kids, because if they did, I would have done it, tried it at least. But I think it was a big struggle. And I think a lot of like, even for me, like, therapy sessions kicked in harder because of COVID, because it was playing on my mental to try to be a full-time mom and full-time work, where it's just that just was not a part of my everyday life. And like I say, Paige just turned 14, And all of her life, I've been traveling, doing work with the unions or social justice work. So this pandemic really slowed me down and really made me look at, mom life is real. Like and it got as real as it was gonna get during the pandemic, because I was like, oh, I gotta I gotta be responsible for somebody 24 hours now. Okay. So, it's a thing. It's a real struggle. It's a real thing that we're all experiencing. So just, knowing that we have people that are, in this same field, in the that we can talk to. Like, we need more conversations like this. We need to just have a mom group, because, sometimes you need to just vent about some of the things that you experience, with your kids and just coming along. Um, Before we hop into the next question, we do have a comment from the chat that I want to pose to both of you. The comment is, I've been thinking about how Black women are more likely to be childcare workers, and I'm wondering where they're going as they resign from their childcare jobs. That is a very good
That is
question.
a very good
It
question.
is a good
And
question.
like, if you think about like the average childcare worker, like, you just work until you can't work anymore. I don't know if many of them are even able to like retire. Like, if you think about my grandma, like she's still working and she's almost 70. Like, so most people in those types of jobs, like they don't get usually to retire. Like, they're working until, you know, till they can't. So I'm not sure about those who maybe like daycare actual like providers. I know that my aunt at one point, she ran her own, was one of the first Black women who ran a daycare where she's from. And after she retired, like, I mean, she's just living good. But I don't think they really like, I don't remember her working after she retired and after she closed her center. um but yeah, I'm not really sure, and that's a really good question because I don't know if I ever heard anybody talk about like, after retiring from childcare, this is what I do. That's a really good, like, I feel like now I'm gonna have to put like a little poll or survey out. But that's a really good one. I don't think I've ever really thought about that.
Well, and I think specifically with COVID and the people leaving the industry, both because childcare is shut down, but also because they needed to be home to care for their own children. Um, I think that this question of where did the women go is really important question, right? Like, the unemployment numbers don't tell the full story because they're not counting the people who are not in a position to be able to even look for work. So like the great resignation, I think sometimes masks the fact that, or the calling it the great resignation, I think sometimes masks the fact that people were actually pushed out of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It wasn't just like, oh, I want to do something else. So I think I feel like it's a great question. Absolutely. And I don't
And
think
then
we have
too,
the
like,
answer.
yeah, and a lot, and to your point too, a lot of those jobs that folks were like pushed out due to COVID, not having childcare, school closing, so much of the unpredictableness that COVID brought on, right, for a lot of parents and working families too. I think you're exactly right. It's like, and also too, like, those jobs are never coming back, right? So that's another layer onto that. Like, just millions of jobs are gone, lots of things shut down, lots of change. So like, what is going to be the thing to actually get those people back into the workforce once they can look for jobs and things of that nature? Like, what is going to be the assistance that those folks get to transition to another career field due to COVID that they may have not thought that they would be in, right? And learn those skills and tools and trade to be able to even transition.
Yeah, and I wonder, what research has been done to kind of compare the amount of Black women that have left childcare and now have enrolled in school, or have
Mm.
started their own business. I think a lot of what we saw in COVID, and the reason there's so many places and businesses hiring right now and they're not getting workers, is because a lot of people had childcare shut down and they were no longer employed, but that did not stop bills coming in. That did not stop, folks, the families needing to eat. So I think, as women do, we make lemon lemonade out of lemons, right? So I think a lot of that, it has shifted to people starting their own businesses and being self-employed. And also, I think what COVID shown, and I'm pretty sure a lot of childcare workers who go and spend their entire day caring for somebody else's child had the opportunity to see just what type of education, what type of interactions with the teachers their child was now having, now that they were able to see that from home, right? When everyone went virtual, and I can remember, the first couple of weeks listening in on Paige's classes, and I'm like, I could teach this, right? Like the curriculum in the school are not, like, they're not adequate enough for our children. So I'm wondering, if a lot of those um childcare workers decided to do something just totally different, right? Like you get a different perspective on things, on the work. They could have followed their passion, done something that is really fueling their motivation. But I think that is a phenomenal question that we can definitely pose to Family Values at Work Network, who works with mothers, who works with childcare workers across the country, and see what type of where they at. Like that would actually be a really good poll to come out with and talk about. So, what do you all feel are some things that a 21st century mom cannot live without, and why?
Can't live
And
without.
don't be shy, because one of mine would definitely be
Um,
a glass of wine.
I think I think an all access pass to like anywhere you want to go for like every 3 months. It's like go to this relaxation resort. Like just pick one. I think all moms need a space of refuge. I think all moms in the 21st century need like a really great support system. I think all moms need great policies and legislation that's going to actually uplift and impact women and working families. So access to things like affordable and quality childcare. Like you should not have to chop off an arm and a foot to pay for childcare. Like it just should not be a thing. And then, like you said, the workers a lot of times are not receiving any of that, so they're still making minimum wage. So I think it's just a lot of that too. And then I think the other thing moms need today's time, 21st century, is a good planning system. Like whether you're tracking it on digitally, whether like you got a paper. I love color coding and all that good things, but a good planning system, I think, is also something that 21st century moms need, and a good self care plan for sure.
When I saw that things that they can't live without, I know this is like I went deep and dark, and I thought about like literally what can't we live without, right? Like good quality health care. Moms literally cannot live without that. We have a maternal health crisis in this country, right? I'm thinking about definitely today, I'm thinking about access to abortion care and reproductive justice, and kind of the ways in which we literally cannot live without being able to make choices for ourselves and our bodies and our families. And then I also think about things like a cell phone and a good pair of shoes, because sometimes you just got to get out of the house and go for a walk. And I think we all need that friend who reminds us that we are worthy, that we are good enough,
Mm-hmm.
that we are doing okay. Like, I think there's a lot of pressure on us as 21st century moms, and every way that we can access those policies and supports, whether it's that BFF, your people, or whether it's paid leave. Like we need all of it.
Yes.
We need all of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There's no way mothers, and it's a shame that we have so many mothers that are right now without paid leave. But that is one thing that we absolutely need PTO, pay time off, pay sick days. Like there is, and
Mhm.
sick days that's not just for you, right? Like we're super moms, of course, and the world thinks that we don't get sick at all. But then when the babies get sick, like that means that we have to step away from work and we need to care for them. It's just those are basic needs. Those are like essentials. Absolutely. I think, we need a good cry every now and then. And I learned that, through the pandemic too. It's okay for us to show, vulnerability. We don't have to be perfect in this world, although that's how we're looked upon. Like we can't do any wrong as a mother, especially in this movement space, which is very hypocritical because we come from, like, we are the community that we're organizing, right? Like we come from that space. We understand, their needs and everything that's happening with them, and we need that grace as well as moms. It's a lot. um I want to kind of dig in a little bit to you all's personal kind of like self-care regimens, like as a mom, as a woman of color in this movement space. I have a very bad self-care regimen, and I preach it all day to everybody else. You need self-care, you need to rest, you need to do what you need to do, drink your water, which I don't have none on my desk so far today, but I can preach a good game. So I would love to hear you all's self care regimen. Maybe some of that'll rub off on me and our viewers, just to be a better mom.
I don't know if I have necessarily a regimen. I've definitely been trying to get better at like the self care because I'm definitely one of those people who would just take on and take on. I hate like for a ball to drop, whether I'm like responsible for the ball or not. um, and so I think for me, my self care, my new thing is like saying no is okay. Like it is healthy. You do not have to take on the world. You do not have to take on anybody else's problems. So that is one thing, like just being okay with saying no, for me. And then also just being spending more time outside. I've been getting into like gardening and planting flowers and just like, oh, look at my good work and just seeing them grow. I think that just really brings me joy. So just trying to like just get into back like some of those little things, get outside, feel the sun, and don't schedule meetings back to back because we're all in this crazy Zoom life that people just feel like, all you got to do all day is just be in front of the computer. Like bathroom doesn't matter, eating doesn't matter, none of that matters. Just have this meeting with me. Right. And so I think some of that too is being able to like make sure you put space in between your meetings. Like don't schedule 11, a 12, a 1. Like put some space in between when you can, like 30 minutes, just stretch. And so those are a couple of things that I've just trying to been incorporating. And someone told me, and I've been trying to pass this along. We were in like a meeting and someone told me that they keep like a self-care daily journal. Like every day they make like a list. So like if they read 10 emails, they do something. Like if they do X, Y, and Z, they do something else. So like they have like a daily like self-care that matches like what they have going on in their day. And I was like, you know what? That is a great idea. Like even if you can just do 2 a day, right? Just start somewhere small. But I thought that was a good idea. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep sharing that. But yeah, so those are some things that I do to stay alert and alive.
Man, it's hashtag goals with the breaks between meetings because I literally had a 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and a 12 o'clock before I came to this. So, yeah, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on that. Self-care. So I feel like this is a journey, Erica. I'm with you on that. Like, this is not a place where I am speaking from expertise, but I think there are some things I've learned. It was really, I found the winter to be rougher than usual for me. I really struggled with um, feeling like not being outside as much, not having as much sunshine, all of those things. So I'm trying to be in my body more. I'm trying to move more. I'm trying to give myself permission to grieve, and also permission to be joyful. I think both of those are critical to self-care. I'm also planting a garden, so I'm feeling that too. Like there's a lot to be said for nurturing something that's going to grow and is not going to give you a tone of voice. So trying to find ways to connect and to get out of my head a little bit. Those are all things. And I've got my water bottle like right here. I'm working on it.
We're all a work in progress.
Exactly.
Maybe if I, decide that, get a little more sunshine and walk around, so I'll go out to the patio and do my work. The watering hose is right there at the patio. I might be more inclined to drink a little bit more water. I have to just get a little creative in that space because I definitely need to increase that. Yeah, I think one thing for me with self-care, I'm definitely getting better at it. I am not an expert by any means or like fully have it locked down, but I have been more intentional about I am like a crafter extreme. I would do any craft. If I don't know how to do it, I will try it. So I think leaning more into that and bringing that creative space into my space, into my workspace, allows me, to be a little bit lighter when it comes to work. So just trying to, you know, incorporate and figure out what is the right self-care regimen. But for all of our viewers, we want you to post what your regimens are, because as you can see, we definitely need some help. So if you comment in the chat below, we will definitely look at those, take some of your advices, follow us on social media. We might post about it a little bit. But we definitely, need to build out this circle of moms, friends, aunties, because it does take a village in this space, and not just a village to raise the kid, but it takes a village to support the mom. And that support looks like all types of things. I had a friend who knows that I love snacks, weird snacks. He sent me a snack from an online snack thing, so things like that. Like, we need support in all types of ways as moms. But as we close it out, I definitely, we're advocacy group, social justice work. We have a whole schedule of things that's happening within our organization. So I want to give you each the opportunity to say a little bit of anything that's upcoming, how they can follow you through the organization and be a part of some of the movement that we have going on within the two organizations.
Yeah, so there's tons of things going on at 9 to 5 Georgia. So we just started our Respect Georgia Workers Alliance this year that focused on sexual harassment and discrimination. We were able to pass HB 1390 that, excuse me, yes, as one of the first protections, because we know Georgia does not have any protections on the book. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to introduce some legislation. We have, if you want to get involved with more of that work, I'll definitely drop some more. I'll send it to you, Erica, to drop later on the links. So you can join our paid leave coalition as well. We have a coalition dedicated to winning paid leave for the whole state of Georgia. Last year, we won up to 3 weeks for state and school employees. And we want to continue to really push on more comprehensive bill around paid leave because it's something that people really need. And we know that 3 weeks is a starting place, but it is not enough. Right. And we want to reach as many people as possible. So definitely. And then also this Thursday, we have our 1 year event around winning HB 146 for paid leave. We have an event this Thursday, so to celebrate that. Then also we launched our parent and provider childcare campaign that focuses on the issues around accessing quality and affordable childcare. If you want to get more involved in that, and then also too, we are also doing voter registration, GOTV. So if you care about that, that is another area of work. But again, we have tons of things going on, so you can definitely check out our website at 9, the letter TO, the number 5 .org/GA, and check us out and get involved.
Awesome. Thank you.
We've also got a ton going on. One of the main things is that our annual event, the Working Lunch, is happening on May 17th, and it's a hybrid event. So if you're interested, please go to womenemployed.org to find out how you can get tickets to that. We are working on passing paid leave in Illinois. We're leading the coalition on that. We're also working on ending the subminimum wage for tipped workers, and we're co-leading that with One Fair Wage. It's a legacy of slavery that needs to end. And we want to do it in Illinois and join the 7 states that have already done it. We're also working on making sure that working women across the state of Illinois understand what their equal pay rights are. So we have a statewide educational outreach campaign that we're going to be working on that will also help us enforce those laws in Illinois and make sure that the most vulnerable folks don't have to carry the full burden of making sure that their rights are respected as well. We've got a lot of work around equity in higher education and in post-secondary education, making sure that our higher education institutions are equitable when it comes to race and gender. And we're going to be launching, I'm really excited about this. Erica, you mentioned folks going into entrepreneurship, their side hustles, to make ends meet, but to also have a place that they have some control, right? And they can channel their passions. And women of color in particular do a lot when it comes to opening their own small businesses, but they don't always have access to the same resources and capital. And so we are going to be launching an entrepreneurship hub in Illinois that is especially designed to connect women of color with resources, with assistance, with capital, and make sure that they have everything that they need to be successful as business owners, and also support to make sure that they're equitable as employers. So really excited about that. We're going to be turning 50 next year. So we have a lot to celebrate and a lot of really great work coming up. Womenemployed.org is where you can go to find out more.
Awesome. And everybody, make sure you follow all of 3 of these organizations on social media. There's going to be a lot of great things coming out this year leading into 2023. Family Values at Work will be celebrating their 20-year anniversary. 9 to 5 is coming up on a milestone.
50. Yeah, we are too. Yep.
So follow on all social media platforms at Women Employed, at 9 to 5 Georgia, at Family Values Work, no A or I in the Family Values at Work. We look forward to more conversations. Join us back next month. Same space. We'll send out more information. Thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for being a part of this conversation. Really enjoyed this.
Yes, and thank you, Erica, for the invite.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.